Make is a piece about the exposing of the actions and gestures behind the sculptural product, and it takes the duration of the piece to erect and to make a large-scale sculpture in the space. So through choreographed and synchronised acts, this form is erected. So I've been working with art materials and movement, bringing the two together, working a lot with drawing and movement, and then paint and movement. And I wanted to work with a more kind of three-dimensional, a kind of almost like another body in the space, and my body, my movement, and then another body in the space. So those were the kind of starting processes of really enjoying kind of how sculpture controlled space and directed space, and kind of became almost quite choreographic. So how a viewer will have to walk around a sculpture, will have to be pushed into a corner, will have to. So in a way, it's like the sculptural product is like a choreographer in the space. So I was interested in those ideas, and coming here to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, I thought that this was the perfect kind of context and frame for the idea of make.
I think with Florence's work, she's part of a kind of generation of very exciting artists working in the UK at the moment who are really kind of engaging in a practice that I think is really driving dance forward. Although many dance artists and choreographers are engaging with the visual arts and have done, for many years, I think Florence is really addressing the kind of canon of art history, and particularly with this piece, very much the kind of iconic figures of the major male artists. I think we are certainly interested in the critical development of dance and its relationship to critical thought and critical theory, and Florence is doing that in a particular and quite humorous, quite kind of witty, playful way, which I think makes a very distinct contribution.
I'd already been thinking about these ideas to do with kind of revealing or exposing the making process, particularly around sort of sculpture and art making, and the kind of task force of people that are needed to make a sculpture or make a piece of work, and how making sculpture is quite like theatre or production processes in putting on a show, putting on a piece of work in a theatre. And so this is really exciting that this has finally kind of come to happen.
It's very unusual to work with this number of people and with this amount of time in this sort of incredible space. And this space, in terms of the Longside Gallery, but also Yorkshire Sculpture Park, it's so inspiring. So the whole place is one big sculpture. There's also, I'm personally not very used to working materials, so I think I've really struggled, and it was in a way sort of how to bring that struggle into performance, and the balance between struggling and actually getting somewhere and actually achieving something and actually getting a sculpture upright or not.
It kind of gives the piece its own grace. When you put it to an audience, when you give it to an audience, it kind of becomes its own thing, so we become sort of the agency for that. It felt lovely to kind of leave my ego and my expectations kind of backstage and just kind of go, actually, what we have to do is deal with the practicalities of this, which is how it works.
It takes a certain type of performance quality, so it's very task-based. It's not about performing, so that's been something quite interesting for me about how can you perform work without performing, if that makes sense.
The materials are really interesting. I find them really interesting to work with. They're difficult, they're challenging. But I had a moment during the performance when I was deconstructing the final section, And I was like, wow, these are objects we use every day. They carry our food, they carry our shoes, they carry our stereo systems. They are the shell that we just so easily discard. Somehow, I felt this real reverence for them and a gratefulness for them.
It's very playful, and I kind of enjoy the moments of seeing other people as well and having the connection with the group. It feels like a huge collaboration because you're constantly building things together or deconstructing things together.
I think one of the things that I found is like the capacity to be present moment by moment by moment, so that then, yeah, generally the contribution that each single person gives to the whole. So it never feels like you can actually act as an individual, but your actions are related to the others, and everything you do will then create other things afterwards.
Improvising in the moment with those materials, with the timing and the momentum of everyone. I think it was an interesting combination of that sort of functionality of the activity, being functional for something that it doesn't have a function.
It gave me so much insight into how people perceive the activity of sculpture making and sculpture installation and presentation. And I just thought there were moments where each scene could have just been framed as an exhibition in its own right. It was so beautiful, but then there were moments of seriousness and comedy, and it all came together really, really well.
I've just seen Make, and I absolutely loved it. It was really spectacular, playful, just from an artist's point of view, just the difficulty of making things and making them stand up, and the tension involved in doing that, and just the beauty of kind of the relationship between the materials and the performers, really exciting to kind of witness.